The next one is, we're getting into the big boys now. We've got 3 to go.
Yeah, let's do it. The top 3. Here we go.
Top 3. So
get excited, everyone.
In the morning of whatever day this was, we had Microsoft, which, we said before, Microsoft have got to bring it. And did they sufficiently bring it, lads?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, they did fucking well this year. I think, I don't like the whole who won E3 debate, but if I were to choose, fucking Microsoft did a great job this year, personally. I know members among our trio would disagree, but as far as who won, but awesome. Good job, Microsoft. Good job.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think Microsoft they've learned a lot since the launch of the Xbox One, a ton actually, and every conference since the Xbox One debacle has, since Phil Spencer took over from Don Matrick, has been, they've mentioned that, no one wants to hear about hardware. It's just not what E3's. No one really gives a shit. We want to see games. We want to see more games, and they've dedicated maybe 1/12 of their conference to hardware since that whole debacle, which is an awesome idea. And they did it again with this. They talked about Xbox One X for, 5 minutes maybe max.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Because they've obviously got to get it out there, because it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I was really pumped to hear about the One X. But they just know what they're doing now. I think we're just going to get it out there, get it done, get it in front of people, and move swiftly on. And they did well. What are you guys' thoughts on the Xbox One X? Firstly, the name.
The name, Scorpio is obviously way cooler, but they're not going to call it that because it's going to be the whole Wii U confusion where no one really knows what it is. It's a 0.5 generational leap, right? And but it sounds like it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So they're not going to call it the Xbox Scorpio. I don't really have a problem with One X apart from the similarities to the Xbox One S, in terms of phonetic similarities sort of thing.
My problem with the name is that as an acronym, Xbox One X is Xbox.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Do you think there was?
And we've already had an Xbox. It's even more fucking confusion. We finally started to get a little bit away from the naming confusion with Scorpio, and then they're just like, nah, fuck it, just call it the Xbox.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's clever or not. Yeah, I think I would say that it is.
It must have been. I can't, even if it wasn't initially, even if the first time it was pitched it wasn't deliberate, there's no way it made it to the point where they announced it and no one in-house pointed that out. They knew before they announced it what they were doing, and they decided they were okay with it. So
it has to be deliberate.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with the name. I mean, it's fine. It sounds pretty cool. The Xbox One X, what else were they going to call it? Really, is the question.
Yeah, totally.
What's really better than that?
Yeah,
apart from Scorpio, which sounds awesome, but they can't use it. So they showed that off for a wee while. They showed off Forza Motorsport 7. They sort of did they mix in a bunch of. They sort of had the big X spiel about most powerful console and all that sort of stuff, but then they showed off a lot of games. Just having X was still there, but it wasn't the main stage.
I think they tried to use the games to show it off.
Great idea.
Great idea. Fantastic. Exactly. Because we've looked at this definition multiple times and we still don't understand what 6 teraflops is. So, to be able to then just basically see that happening in 4K is perfect. What better way to show it off? So, good job. Good job.
Absolutely awesome. So we'll move through some of the items. So the first thing we have is the backwards compatibility for OG, as Phil said, OG Xbox games.
Yep.
I thought it was awesome he called them OG games, because if he knows what that stands for, original gangster, that's not something you'd hear at a big electronic press conference, from one of the big three kind of thing.
He knows.
So good. You reckon he knows?
He definitely knows. Phil Spencer is not a silly man.
He's an OG. So
it's true, isn't it? He used to be a developer for Microsoft. Good dude. Yeah, so they showed off or they didn't show it off, but they said Crimson Skies is coming very soon, which everyone was stoked about. I never played Crimson Skies, but it looks like a lot of fun.
Great game.
Halo, obviously Halo 1, Halo 2 will be coming. Massive games. And yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this, as not owning not owning an original Xbox myself back in the day. But that's awesome. Anything that adds more games to the library is fine by me.
It makes so much sense. It's the kind of things that we were asking from Sony, and
yes,
and it just never happened. And he's just he strikes me as having just listened. Just, okay, cool. He's put an ear to the ground, and gamers have gone, it'd be awesome if we could play all the old Xbox games, and why not? Like, are you really genuinely making money from those games in a a decent sense? And so this could be a way to just reinvigorate that and get people back into their consoles. Genius.
On that point, though, this is again the point where I need to bring up that the name is wrong. It's not backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility is being able to play your old games. You can't play your old games on the Xbox One. You can repurchase them digitally, repurchase remakes that are at a higher resolution and perform better, but it's not backwards compatibility. I don't know what it is. It's like bringing the library to this system, but it's not backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I suppose. I had heard that you could take your old disc, put it in the tray, and it would prompt you to you could download that game, the new kind of backwards compatible version sort of thing. Could be wrong. It's just
that would be backwards compatible, yeah. But I didn't. If that's the case, then cool. I didn't hear that at all. I only heard what he said about how you could get these games through the Xbox Marketplace.
Yeah, I could be totally wrong. This is just me hearing.
No, Regan, I think you're right. I've heard that somewhere as well, where you put your disc in and it gives you some sort of prompt to.
I mean, this could be genuine water cooler chat that I've just overheard, and we'll see how it goes. But I think if you can do that, that's the dream, right? That'd be great.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I think anyone using nostalgia to their advantage is a very, very smart person, and that's exactly what Phil Spencer's doing. Along, Xbox Game Pass and the OG Xbox games being available, along with 360, massive library now, huge library on the Xbox One, which is awesome. We'll get to Sony, but man, Sony needs to definitely step up their game in terms of value for money for sure. We talked about Forza Motorsport. That was cool because they showed off they did this with the last Forza. They brought a real car onto the stage and they showed off a new Porsche 911, which I'm a huge fan of Porsche since Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit on PlayStation 1. Love Porsches, eh? They're just beautiful cars, and I was crooning over this new 911 on stage. But they only showed it for 20 seconds or whatever, and then it was gone, and that was great. It was cool. They moved on to the next thing, which was Metro Exodus, which is not an exclusive, but this was exclusive, gameplay footage, whatever you want to call it, sort of thing. This game looks awesome. This game looks so good.
This was one of the ones that was obviously showing off the Xbox One X.
Yes, the X capabilities.
Yeah, beautiful. Again, the Metro is another one of those games that I never played the first iteration of. But all I can really say from my perspective was that it just looked beautiful. Like the shadows and the rendering and the colors were popping, and it was great.
Yep.
Yeah. What were you guys' impressions?
Yeah, I've never played a Metro either. Balthazar, have you played a Metro game?
I played both of them. The previous ones, they were both free on PS Plus. Over various points in time, so I played both of them there, and they're fun games. It's kind of hard to liken them to anything, but essentially they're like a less RPG version of Stalker, and a more cohesive, enjoyable version of Fallout.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. So they are very good games. And as you saw in the thing, they've all, at the time they came out, they've all been visually stunning. This one, absolutely no exception at all. Looks great, yeah.
Yeah. So 2033 and Last Light were the two previous Metroid games there, and they're based off a series of novels as well, which I've heard are really good books. But yeah, I think it's great. I love the idea of like Stalker being able to explore. I think these are set in the Ukraine or parts of Russia as well. I think that's a really, really cool idea. Just being able to explore this, this place that's just been ripped apart by nuclear radiation and stuff like that. I think that's fucking cool. And one thing that really stuck out to me in the trailer, I really hope this continues in the actual game, because I just got really excited. It's a really stupid little thing, but when he shot, I think it was a crossbow. I don't think it was a bow and arrow. It must have been a crossbow.
It was crossbow, yeah.
Yeah, you could see the arrow, for one. He killed a thing and irradiated dog or whatever it was. And when he pulled the arrow out, he reached in, he grabbed the shaft of the arrow, and he pulled it out. He didn't just magically, get it in his inventory or reach to a random part of the cadaver and the arrow went into his inventory. He grabbed the arrow and he put it away, and I was like, wow. He didn't
even put it away. He then lifted that arrow up, slotted it into the side of the crossbow, and loaded it to use as the next bolt again. Yeah.
Oh, just beautiful. And the other thing I noticed was when he ran to the cliff edge, I think he was being chased by a bear, he sort of did a little bit of a skid. Now, I don't know how that's going to work, and a whole bunch of rocks sort of fell off the edge of the cliff. That seemed like it was scripted, but if it's not, that's bloody cool. just little things like that, eh? I got really excited.
If that's not scripted, I can picture myself just kind of walking up to the edge of cliffs and just walking along and watching all the rocks just tumble down.
Yeah. Yeah. I love little details like that. It's so cool. But yeah, that's coming out 2018, and again, that's not exclusive to the X. Very smart to show it at their conference, sort of make it look like it might be, but it's not. It's coming to everything, including PC. Next, we had the most comprehensive showing of Assassin's Creed Origins at the Xbox conference, not even at Ubi's own conference kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was, I'm trying to differentiate this between the Ubi one. Regan, can you remember?
So this was the one where, so in the Ubi one, they played a trailer, and in this one, they played a good chunk of actual gameplay.
Right.
And old mate from Ubi came out, and the same guy that talked about who introduced the trailer in the previous one, and it was basically like, hey, we're showing it here, and I think again they were talking about the One X and how it was, cranking the 4K, and they made a point to say that like this is what it looks like on the One X, and look at the water and the sky and the stuff. And they had a good bit of gameplay where they, I think they broke into. I was meant to be working at the time, so I didn't get to watch it fully. But they broke into some. They did a classic Assassin's Creed, break into a complex and take out a target type thing, which seemed pretty cool.
There was a lot of stuff shown in it that just, I don't know. I was hoping for more. I guess, they've been away for a while, and they came back, and they've clearly done a lot to the game, to make it much better. But there's still just some parts of it which are just too video gamey, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, there's a point where he's doing that infiltration and he's walking along the top of a wall, and there's a dude, maybe 10 feet away on the floor looking in his direction. You're not telling me he can't see him. He can definitely see him standing up there. It's a bright blue sky with a dark wall and a dude standing on top of the wall. His silhouette is fully visible to everyone. You fucking know he's there. Like, it's stuff like that where I know they can't make the game impossible. Like, it's like that, 'cause otherwise it would be too hard. But settings like the middle of a desert where, there's sparse scenery and stuff like that around just makes things like that even more blatantly obvious and apparent when they happen. And so that kind of did break it a bit for me. Just seeing that guy not even do the kind of, that classic Assassin's Creed, like, oh, is somebody maybe there, like the little gauge starting to fill up kind of thing of maybe being detected. Like, there was just no acknowledgement at all of this dude blatantly standing on top of a wall 10 feet from him.
That's brilliant. One other thing I noticed in that bit of gameplay was when he jumped in the air and he pulled out his bow, it went into slow motion, and it looked like something they've taken from Breath of the Wild, directly from Breath of the Wild. It looked like they've taken, you know, Red Dead, Witcher, and Breath of the Wild, and sort of taken hopefully the best parts of these games and put them into Origins. And also you can become an eagle. So they sort of took that Eagle Flight VR thing that Ubisoft.
Well, they just took it from Primal as well. They took it from their own game.
Oh, yes, they did. You turn into an owl or something in that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
true. But it looks good. It looks good, and that was a much more comprehensive showing at the Microsoft Con than the Ubi one. State of Decay 2. I never played this game. It looks fine. It's a zombie game. You guys have any thoughts on this?
Nah. Zombie game.
I don't really know much about it. It kind of looks like a DayZ-ish, but like maybe a not quite as hardcore version of DayZ, where there's no permadeath and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It could be fun. It could be fun with mates or whatever, but it just looks like a zombie game to me. Minecraft rocked up, and to show off, you know, the capabilities and this wonderful new 4K of the Xbox One X, Minecraft is getting a big volumetric lighting update. just ridiculous.
4K Minecraft, and I think I mentioned it, feels oxymoronic. Like
it really does.
You know, I don't need to see my 2-foot high blocks in crystal clear 4K detail, but I guess there is it's a similar thing to what we were saying earlier about the sports games, and that like people who play Minecraft are probably not watching E3, like, or,
no. But they have Minecon. They have their own convention.
Well, yeah. I guess that's the point, right? It's so huge that it's in some ways kind of got to be there, I guess. It's confusing for me.
They had the lady showing it off, who I found out this year was a developer. I thought she was some horrible paid actor. Last year she showed, not last year, whenever they last showed off HoloLens, whatever happened to that piece of tech, they showed it off with Minecraft, and A, it looked cool, but B, they had her showing it off, and she is the worst actor I've ever seen in my life in terms of E3 conferences. She is atrocious, and she started to ham it up this time around. I was like, oh god, here we go. But thankfully she was only on stage for very briefly, so she didn't get a chance to do it. But yeah, found out she was a developer at Mojang, so that's
there you go. Yeah.
She broke the mold of actual devs, being really good at talking about their games on stage. That's
the I guess it's because it's Mojang, right? That's the cause of her lack of social skills. Like, she's been working on Minecraft for 5 years.
She just sees the world in large pixelated blocks.
Large blocks. She's been down in those caves mining for the lava. I don't know. I've never played Minecraft. I don't even really know what you do.
Mine for lava. That sounds right. Yeah. I've honestly never, I'm the same as you. Assuming when you say never played Minecraft, you mean you've never even touched a device that has Minecraft running on it. No.
Nope.
I've never touched it either. It's not my sort of game.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. Sea of Thieves came along, and I think Sea of Thieves looks awesome. Every time I see Sea of Thieves, it looks better.
Yeah. There's something about this game. It's funny because it's the same premise as Blood and Bone or Skull and Cross stuff or whatever it was we were talking about earlier.
Skull and Bone.
Skull and Skeletons, yeah.
But it seems fucking great. Like there's, I think what it is, they've boiled it down to some really core kind of gameplay mechanic loops where pretty straightforward kind of naval battles. Obviously, there's the basics of sort of teamwork there, where someone needs to be downstairs, like patching up the holes, and someone needs to stay on the ship if you're venturing off. And so it's kind of teamwork, but not teamwork in a really sort of taxing way. It's teamwork in a way that can still be quite fun. And I think it looks to me like they've really kind of hit that balance. And then of course you've got that kind of tongue-in-cheek humor that goes along with it as well. I'm well into this. I think I'm going to be playing this for a long time, I think.
Regan, now your girlfriend has an Xbox, right?
She does, yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say, are you going to purchase an X or an Xbox S for this? But you won't need to.
I'll play it on PC. That's the thing. Like,
true. Of course.
And talking about Xbox One X, like it's an interesting. We could probably talk about this in more depth in another podcast, but it's kind of interesting from my perspective, the kind of niche that they're trying to hit. In that, like, Microsoft is open to PC gamers, and so you're probably already going to have a PC.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anywho, we'll discuss that at another time.
Yeah, and actually thinking about it, you know how everyone says Sony has the dominant market share of the console landscape. Thinking about the fact that they do have PC gaming on their side, that might be a bit of a misnomer. Actually, you know that Sony actually thinks they have more power than they do. If Microsoft is bringing in the PC gamers as well, I think that's a bloody good move. Really.
Well, it's not just PC gamers either, is it, anymore? I mean, this year was also very much the year where Phil Spencer talked to cross-server multiplayer.
True.
And, you know, anything you play online on the Xbox One X, you'll also be able to play with people on PC. And the only console that, you know, isn't able to play with other people online is the PlayStation. Even the Switch, for some, because that was actually part of the Minecraft presentation, wasn't it? They said that Minecraft is going multi-platform servers as well now, as well as getting the 4K upgrade. And now Xbox, PC, iPad, iPhone, Android, and Switch players will all get to play Minecraft together. It will only be the PlayStation players who won't be able to play because Sony refused to do cross-platform play. So I think very much this year was the year that cemented that Sony do not know what they are doing anymore. They think they're still in control and they think they are still king of the market and know exactly what they're doing, but they don't anymore.
Yeah. I think they're lost in their sort of antiquities. Sony, they're stuck in their old ways a wee bit. They're sort of becoming Nintendo in a way, which is both a good and bad thing. But they're taking like the wrong lessons from Nintendo and getting greedy and stuck in their ways, kind of thing. Yeah, but anyway, Sea of Thieves look awesome. The thing I want to bring up that I'm really excited about that game is the fact that, again, like something like Firewatch, you have to bring up your map and look at it and use your brain to figure out where you are and where you go. I love that stuff. I think it's great. Less UI, the better. And that's exactly what they're going for. So, that game looks great. I don't know whether that would convince me to buy an X. I'd love to get a PC, but again, you know, my situation just doesn't. I can't fit one in my room at the moment.
I was going to say it's like half of the space in your room gone if you get a PC.
Yeah. It'll be a bit rough. But Sea of Thieves is definitely a good starter to getting me toward buying an Xbox One X. I know I have a lot of friends who have Xbox Ones, so that would be cool to be able to play with them. But yeah, even cooler if I could play via PlayStation. Sony, you dicks. Next thing they showed off, which I didn't even remember this being at the Microsoft Con, was Life is Strange Before the Storm prequel. Now, I have played 10 minutes of this game and I hate it with every fiber of my being. So I don't have anything to say about this. I'm not going to go near this game. Does anyone? Balthazar, you played through it?
No, Hannah had the original. She couldn't finish it. Not couldn't, as in, you know, couldn't, like, kind of like you with the first time, like, couldn't stomach her way through the latter half of the episodes of that game. And apparently, based on what she'd done so far in the first game, this one, like, stuff in the trailer, totally, like, spoiled the latter half of the first game.
True.
If you'd started to play it and knew who characters were, then seeing some characters in that trailer revealed that they lived through the whole first game, which apparently wasn't a given. And also it looked shit. So, you know, there you go. That's the endorsement of someone.
When you say it looked shit, do you just mean aesthetically it?
Oh, not visually. No, I think she meant like the game.
It just looked
like, you know,
garbage.
playing it. It looked like a bad game that nobody would enjoy playing.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I think the first game, from what I played, it was just the worst, most generic, bloody, horrible mumblecore indie movie, the game, and I just don't want to play that. They use words like hella. It makes me want to run away. It's not fun. But yeah, Regan, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Nope,
nothing. All right, we'll move on to the live-action Terry Crews Crackdown 3 sort of demonstration, I guess you'd call it. It was sort of a little bit of gameplay, right? But it was mostly Terry Crews just doing his Terry Crews thing.
I don't really care too much for the game, but man, Terry Crews, anything that guy has, puts his name on, is good. Is got to be good fun. Like Terry Crews is great.
Oh, yeah. It's essentially just an Old Spice commercial, but with Crackdown going on in the background, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sweet. I don't think we got a release date or anything for Crackdown 3. It hasn't been talked about for a wee while. It was the whole poster boy for Microsoft's cloud-based destruction or whatever they were going for with Crackdown 3.
Cloud-based destruction.
Do you remember that? It was sort of, as long as you're online, you can use the power of other people's Xboxes to render, give your Xbox more CPU power and render more destruction, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. It was odd. It was very odd. And I'm not sure if they did a heel turn on that one because I haven't heard anything about it since. But yeah, I don't know. Crackdown 3 is coming at some point and it might be kind of fun. The first one, again, was all right, but I got shot at every second of every day I played that game. I just didn't want to be shot at anymore, so I stopped playing it. Cuphead has finally got a release date.
What the fuck is Cuphead? It came up as and I think you mentioned it in the chat that we had going. You were like, it's Cuphead. It's like, cool. Yeah. Great.
Do you not remember Cuphead from previous E3s?
No, I don't remember Cuphead.
I don't think, to be honest, Abe, I don't think Cuphead was ever properly shown at any previous E3s. I think it's one of those things that you would probably know from researching outside of E3, things that were on the floor that people were able to play. I don't think Cuphead was ever actually on the stage of E3 ever before. I think it's just been present at pretty much every single E3 on the show floor as something people have been playing and uploading videos of.
Oh, okay. All right. That might explain it a bit more then. I thought everyone kind of knew about Cuphead and was as excited for Cuphead as I was.
Tell me about Cuphead. I'd like to know.
Cuphead is essentially a video game modeled with the art style of a 1930s Disney picture.
Okay.
So it's got that sort of grainy, watercolory looking art style, and I just think that's awesome. Like the animation looks exactly like those old school, the really, really old Disney movies like Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast and things like that. Things that came out way, years and years ago kind of thing.
Yep.
Pinocchio was another one. And I've just never seen a video game like that. And this just looks so, so beautiful. I think visually this game is just absolutely stunning. It looks like, are you guys familiar with the Simpsons episode where they find the very first Itchy and Scratchy cartoon? And it's called Steamboat Itchy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It looks like that's like that sort of animation. It's just super jolly and looks like a lot of fun. And it's so pretty to look at. But, yeah, I don't really know what it is, but it looks
I don't know what you do with it.
Yeah. I think it's a sort of platforming. Maybe it might have some of that. What do you call it? Bullet hell? Is that the genre? Is that what it's called? Bullet hell sections, like sort of horizontally scrolling bullet hell sections. But yeah,
I also want to take a moment here to acknowledge Abe's character. How characteristic is it, Regan, of Abe, that rather than going with the much more well-known and original thing that Steamboat Itchy was taken from, Steamboat Willie, the original Disney cartoon, he instead chose to make a Simpsons reference that probably that had a high likelihood of neither of us getting.
Yeah,
it's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's just so true to your character.
Oh man,
everything is a Simpsons reference.
It totally is. I didn't even think about the Steamboat Willie thing. So much better in the context of being a Disney property.
Yeah, after having laboured the point of it being very similar to Disney animation. Yeah. It's like that Simpsons episode that refers to a Disney episode, Disney animation.
Oh man,
brilliant!
Oh, I'm a disgrace. But yeah, that's Cuphead, and I'm pumped for Cuphead. It's coming out this year. I can't remember what the exact date is, but it's just like September or October or something like that. But yeah, that'll be great. We've got this. Oh man, I'm wondering if this was game of the show because this was just awesome. This was Middle-earth: Shadow of War. They showed off a good chunk of this at the Microsoft Con, and man, that was fun. Their whole piece of gameplay. They had Bruce, the Australian. Well, the big news is Australian accents are in.
Yeah.
And shit. So we've got Australian.
What were they? So the bigger sort of troll Urukai are all Australian, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. We had Bruce, the Australian, whatever the hell he is.
He was good value,
he was so fun. He was so much fun, that dude. Just great writing and really good voice work in that as well.
I think that was, even if Shadow of War wasn't kind of showing of E3, for me, the best moment of E3 was as long as I can be the one to pop his heads off.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
That got a laugh from the crowd, which it's pretty hard to do. This looks wild. I'm really pumped for this game. Anything with more orc banter, because I love orc banter, is my favorite thing of the first game. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
They're just fantastic. Bring more accents in. Just keep making sequels to this game and just bring more accents in. I'll keep buying it.
New Zealand accents next time around. I guess we're
that'd be amazing. Imagine the orcs say, the orcs are just like, oh, cut his head off, bro.
Yeah. Oh, nah. Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, nah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nah. Yeah, all good.
That would actually work really well, like surprisingly well, I think. But yeah, I think this looks awesome. I can't wait for this game. Balthazar, this was your most anticipated until something else. I can't remember what it was.
It was until StarCraft 1.
Right.
My most anticipated game until the 90s came back. But definitely kind of most anticipated new game for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Not a huge amount more to say about that. Looks great. It's coming out really, really soon. I think it's coming out August, right? Was that correct?
No, it was postponed to October.
It was. That's right. Yeah, got delayed, but that's fine. They can delay it as long as they want, because it looks great. Don't really care. Ori and the Blind. No, we can't call it that
Ori
anymore.
and the Will of the Wisps.
The Will of the Wisps, that's the one. Yeah. So Ori's got a new sequel. It looks as devastating as the first one. It looks like I never played the first one, but man, it looks like a depressing game, and I really, really want to play it because I love depressing stuff. And it looks beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Just the visual, the art sort of what do you call it? The impressionistic, I guess, watercolored art style of this game has always caught my eye. Regan, do you reckon you'll pick this one up on PC?
It'll depend on when it's situated. Like if it comes in one of those lulls where there's not a whole lot else that's going on, for sure, why not? It looks like a painting in a game, really. It looks beautiful. And if or like an art book that you get to play your way through.
That's a good way of putting it, actually. And they had the dude doing the soundtrack on stage playing the piano.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah,
that was really cool. I started to laugh when it first showed him, and then I saw what the game was, and I was like, no, you're fine. Yep. It's not funny anymore. It's just really cool.
Nice.
So we had more from BioWare's new shared universe. That's a really weird term they use, because that's what Destiny is, right? It's a shared universe. It's not an MMO.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. More from Anthem, and they sort of showed a bit more gameplay, and they went into some forest and shot some poor creatures. I'm not sure. It looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. This is what the core BioWare team's been working on. Then fair play, because this looks absolutely stunning. There's not enough draw for me yet. Obviously, it's not coming out for a while, but it just looks kind of like you fly around and shoot things. I need a bit more than that.
Yeah.
Balthazar, I think you're relatively pumped for this one.
I mean, it looks really cool. It's got something that I always appreciate in games that no game has ever delivered properly, so this one probably won't either, and that is that just complete actually, I tell a lie, Xenoblade Chronicles X did it. That complete freedom to just fly across the world, and just like not just fly over it in a flight formation, and if you then want to land and do stuff on ground, you've got to go through loading screens or changing some shit up to be able to do that, but legitimately just take off and land, and if you see something, go over there. Like Xenoblade Chronicles X is the only game that's done that before properly for me. And this looks like another game that might do it well. But the way that I look at it is, as you said, it's basically the same genre. It is a Destiny competitor.
And
so the way I have to look at it is, it's like MMOs. You can only play one. You can entertain the idea of playing multiple, but there's such time sinks you can't realistically. So for me, it's going to be just keeping an eye on the development of Anthem prior to the launch of Destiny 2, because Destiny 2 is obviously coming first. Yep. And if they show enough to excite me enough before Destiny 2 comes out, then I will hold off until Anthem comes out, and make a decision then. But if they don't show me enough before Destiny 2 and I already buy and commit to Destiny 2, then Anthem's lost at that point.
Interesting. Regan,
I'm not playing both. It's very strictly one or the other for me. So basically, Anthem has like 2 months to come out with some new cool looking shit. Otherwise, as it stands at the moment, it's not beaten Destiny because I already have ties to Destiny. And I played the first one, I enjoyed it. The second one being, kind of co-opted by Blizzard for the online is nothing but good signs as to the quality of that game, because Blizzard doesn't put their name on any old trash. So it's looking like I'm going to be giving an Anthem a pass, even though it looks pretty good. It looks like it's a Destiny competitor, and while I don't have franchise loyalty, I'm not going to be purchasing the same game multiple times. So if it doesn't show enough points of difference or doesn't show enough points of improvement before Destiny 2 comes out, then I'll be skipping it, unfortunately.
Yeah. The traversal was, you mentioned that. I thought that was really cool as well. It's sort of the Vanquish style rocket boosters on your feet thing, with Iron Man or whichever one you want to go with. I thought that was awesome, and the scope of the world was really cool. Massive tunnel that you fly down at the start. That was really cool, and the fact that you can go under the water and pop up from the water as well and continue flying seamlessly. That's awesome. That looks really, really cool. Regan, do you have any thoughts on this?
Not hugely. It sort of intrigued me, like just the scope and the visuals of it, I think, off the bat. But I guess what I want to know is, like, is there more of the game, like, in that sort of that main area that where you kind of got into your suit, or is it how much of the game is in there? How much of is it out in the world? Do I have to make friends to play this game? Like, or can I go solo and be a bit of a lone wolf? Things like that. Because if it's the kind of game where I can sort of almost play it like a single player game, because I'm not huge on MMOs. Like, I'll give them a crack, but so there's a lot of questions for me. But it looks intriguing. I would say. Yeah.
I think what was really interesting was that it opened with. It opens in that sort of marketplace area or whatever. Massive close-up on the faces, which I felt like was a direct response to Mass Effect Andromeda. Them being like, hey, we can do face tech. We just the other team can't, but we can. We're core BioWare. We're fine. Don't worry about that. I felt like that was an interesting comment on that. But intrigued by it, but not sold yet. I don't think any of us there. So we'll keep an eye on it. Now we're up to grades for this one, guys. Regan,
I gave them an excellence. I thought it was wonderfully paced. I was really impressed with the Xbox. I think it's like it's where consoles need to be right now. And there were some great games in there that I am looking forward to. Sea of Thieves in particular. Looks like a fucking great time. So, excellence. Well done, Microsoft.
Nice.
Well
First
done.
excellence there.
Yep.
Balthazar, what'd you give them?
I am once again in the same place as Regan here. I gave them an excellence. I thought that it wasn't even their own mistakes that they learned from, but they learned from sort of previous show mistakes of what happens if you dedicate too much time to hardware and not announcing enough titles. So that even though they had an actual legitimately solid piece of hardware to, that they could have gone in depth, and I think people would have stayed engaged for that, they still chose to just talk about it for, 5-10 minutes and then dedicate the show to games. And they really delivered on those games. There's stuff that was, shown. There's at least one title of excitement for all of us. I think, all of us are excited for the same one title for starters. Sea of Thieves looks, incredible. But aside from just that one, there's Ori, which is, looks really great. Anthem, none of us are sold on, but, is one of those kind of core gamer demographic titles that's going to do well. They just really, like we said, they had to bring it this year. Yeah. And it's almost like they knew that, because they seem to have just gone, 110% and brought everything.
Nice, very nice. So that was an excellence from you, Balthazar?
It was.
Nice. All right. Well, I gave them a Merit Plus. Now, if there was a grade in between Merit Plus and Excellence, I would give them that. But there is
not enough of a gradient between.
We're not going into those small increments. Just to give my thoughts out first of all. I thought it was great conference. Pacing was fantastic. They had a lot there, lots of stuff to look forward to. Phil Spencer's the man. He's just the best dude in the industry. He's so genuine. He seems like such a nice guy. He seems like an actual gamer as opposed to previous CEOs of Xbox, Don Matrick. The only thing I docked points from Microsoft, which I really, really wanted to see, was new IP. And they did not really have any new exclusives, essentially, is what I wanted. I really want something to make me want to buy an Xbox X that experience that I can't get on my current PlayStation. And they didn't really have anything in that realm. That's not a huge fault to them, but that's what would have won me over and would have given me given them an excellence kind of thing, was some sort of sweet new, something that's like Uncharted or like God of War, something with that caliber of attention paid to it by one of their first party studios.
Sure, yeah.
Which is odd as well, because he even pointed out, after announcing the Xbox One X, that there over the next 12 months there will be 22 exclusive titles coming to the Xbox, and then they didn't actually talk about any of them as far as I'm aware.
No.
And I kind of get it. It was a conscious decision. They decided that the route they wanted to take was to show the superiority of the Xbox One X playing multi-platform games over any other system, to try and show that it really has an edge over everything else. But yeah, like you said, at the same time, I think most people are probably in the same boat as you, where they did want to see something exclusive, something that made it different. There was no doubt from what they showed that it was better, performance-wise, but they didn't give anything to show that it's different than anything else out there.
Right. Yeah, no, and I agree 110% with that, Balthazar. I think, it was interesting, their narrative. It was, this is the place to play. Like, these games are available everywhere, but you want to play here. It's not, we've got these, you can't play these over there. It's everyone's got these, but play them here because they're going to be best, kind of thing. Which is their narrative for that. But yeah, awesome conference, Microsoft. Very, very well done with that. So we'll move into next one, which is Sony. Now, Sony's always my most anticipated conference, being that's the only thing I really play games on. Did you guys have any expectations for Sony going in?
I wasn't quite sure with Sony. I knew they were really going to, like, as you say, Abe, in the last podcast, they needed to bring it. You might have been talking about Microsoft, but anyway.
That was Microsoft, yeah.
But anywho, I don't know. Sony I think they had a good showing, but I think because I knew that we were getting hardware from Microsoft, I felt like they were going to be on the back foot. As not, they didn't have anything new fanfare, so didn't have a whole lot going in terms of expectations. What about you guys? Did you go into it thinking that it was going to be like sort of up with the previous ones, or?
I was expecting Hideo at some point.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing. And I was expecting, again, based on previous E3s and things, I was expecting new stuff from Sony. They are consistently in the past the conference that delivers every year, not just actually announcing confirming new things, but actually coming to the table with things that hadn't even been leaked or anything that no one knew were being worked on. And they didn't bring anything new this year.
No, I mean, they brought one thing which is new, which we'll talk about soon. But yeah, I don't know. Sony, the last year's conference blew me away. I thought that was absolutely stunning. They pretty much, I think it was the Conference of Dreams. It was termed that one. They brought just everything. Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII Remake. They brought Shenmue 3 for people interested in that. They brought all sorts of crazy shit. Spider-Man made an appearance, and it just brought the house down. Crash Bandicoot, Wipeout, everything turned up, and so I had really pretty high expectations for Sony. I always do now, and it opened with that crazy sort of musical number, the Indian themed musical number with the sand pouring down in the background. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. It's going to be exactly like last year. They're just going to bombard us with goodness. It felt like half a press conference to me.
Yeah,
the Sony one. It really felt like it's super short, and as you mentioned, I feel like the first half was stuff we already knew about, and we didn't get the second half.
Yeah,
that was my overall.
There was also that the Microsoft one was real long, like it was kind of like an hour and a half or more.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this one felt quite snappy in comparison to that, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So we'll go through Sony's. There's not a huge amount because it was really short. I think it was less than an hour. This one. Uncharted Lost Legacy was what they first opened with, and Regan, when I was talking to you when we were watching it, they were having massive sound issues on Twitch.
Yeah, they were.
The sound from the actual trailers wasn't coming through.
I didn't catch any of the sound for that part of it, and it was like we were getting the sound from the auditorium rather than kind of like a direct feed of the sound from the trailer. So I actually kind of missed a lot of it. I couldn't hear any of the dialogue or anything.
No, the audio engineer probably got fired for that one, I would imagine. His
head is currently on a stake outside the
Sean Layden's condo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was working fine on YouTube. So I went back and sort of went on Reddit and had a look around, and people was, it's fine on YouTube. People were whinging that it wasn't working on Twitch, and everyone was like, jump over to YouTube. So yeah, it was just the Twitch feed that kind of buggered out. But that was a bit of an unfortunate way to start off the conference. The audio only kicked back in probably 20 seconds into Days Gone, which was after Uncharted, after Horizon Zero Dawn. So it was the third showing. That's when the audio kicked back in. So bit of a botch up there, Sony. Need to watch that next time. Get someone with a little bit more know-how on your audio feeds. But yeah, Uncharted Lost Legacy, I think it looks awesome. I can't wait for it. And it's coming out this year. So I'm well hyped for that. Anyone else? Any thoughts on that?
No.
No thoughts. It kind of looks like what we would expect, I guess. More Uncharted, I guess.
It's sort of blossomed into a thing that I think was a lot bigger than what the team who was working on it initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it looks beautiful as you would expect. It'll be interesting because Uncharted has obviously always been tied to Nathan Drake in a very, intimate kind of way. I'm not sure how it's going to work with these new characters, whether it's going to be carried as well. Whether people are going to carry that same sort of adoration. Yeah, I guess it remains to be seen. I'm wanting some nice big set pieces, some good action, and hopefully a crushing mode to work my way through.
Oh, Jesus. I'm really pumped for it, and I think we checked out the prices, scoped out a few of the prices. I get a feeling this game's probably going to be around the 10-hour mark. Somewhere around 8 to 10 hours, probably something like that, and it looks to be about $60 in stores, sort of thing, or 45 on New Zealand Game Shop. So yeah, I'm quite happy paying that price, and I think it's great. And you pre-order, you get Jack and Daxter, so that's even better. We had Horizon Zero Dawn expansion coming.
Should have seen this coming.
Wild,
yeah.
Oh yeah. None of us actually predicted this, because we didn't even think about it. Regan, was Horizon Zero Dawn good enough to pick up the expansion?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. For me, sort of the game of the first half of the year, I would say it's fantastic. And I think there's enough people out there that received it well that it's an obvious thing. Yeah, definitely. I guess the question for me was, I feel like I kind of tapped out that game as far as kind of the exploration and the kind of reaching the end of all the skill trees and things like that. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to add to that and what they're going to give us in terms of that sort of stuff. Aside from just kind of exploring more of the lore of the world, which is obviously very untold. I feel like we only kind of just scraped the surface with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of mechanics, I'm not quite sure where they will take it. But I'm interested to see, I guess, is the thing there.
So we're not playing as Aloy this time, is that correct?
I thought we were.
Yeah, I think we are.
Are we?
Yeah, I think we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must be misremembering that. I thought we were playing as some bloke that we sort of met briefly, and it was a prequel or something. I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah.
But I have to rewatch that. Anyway, Days Gone, which is the sort of poor man's Last of Us, as I think someone described it. Is that you, Balthazar?
Might have been.
Sounds like
something I'd say.
For
I
sure.
don't remember it.
Yeah. I think it looks intriguing. Again, a word that's been overused in this podcast, but I'm not sold on this one quite yet. It looks kind of like a Sons of Anarchy version of The Last of Us, essentially, with worse writing. And the whole, I don't like the fact that it has a gimmick, and that gimmick is a shit ton of zombies. Like, that seems to be the thing that they're selling this game
on.
on
For the DayZ type.
The World War Z.
Yes, that's the one. Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Type of zombie.
Yeah, no, I knew what you were.
Yep.
I think the melee combat, which they showed off a little bit, which was pretty brutal, looks to be taken almost directly from the last. It's like really gritty and close knit, like The Last of Us is, and he stabbed a dude in the gut a couple of times, and it looked pretty rough. And you can put down bear traps and sort of snag people's legs and things like that. It looks fine. I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll definitely pick it up if it's if it's just a reasonable version of some sort of a post-apocalyptic tile out in the forest thingy. But nothing that wowed me, really. It was all right, I suppose. They blew up a wall and let a bunch of zombies in to kill a bunch of adversaries, and then a giant bear wrapped in barbed wire turned up, and that was the end of the demo. So
yeah, pretty much. Although that bear in the barbed wire was pretty damn cool. Like,
it was cool.
Yeah,
it was very cool. The fact that he was wrapped in barbed wire, I thought that was awesome. I like to imagine that he did that himself.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna look fucking scary in this barbed wire. Yeah, I'm gonna get all rolled up in this shit." Yeah,
awesome. Now this is the new thing, the only new thing that was at the Sony Con, apart from COD, but that doesn't really count. Monster Hunter World, which is quite a big deal, I think. It's quite a big get for Sony. This has only been on Nintendo platforms in the past, is that correct?
Monster Hunters 1, 2, and 3 were on PlayStation.
Oh, they were? Okay. Were they PS2?
Actually, it might have just been 1 and 2. Yeah, I think it was just 1 and 2, and then 3 was on Nintendo. That was when it made the Switch.
Pun intended?
The change. Sorry. Yeah. It actually, I believe, sort of, in terms of total time, Sony has held Monster Hunter longer than Nintendo. But now, Nintendo haven't given it up. They're just both making games for Monster Hunter now.
Right. Sony's making a fully
Switch one was also fully confirmed. Monster Hunter XX for Switch. So, yeah, there's just 2 different publishers making Monster Hunter games now.
Interesting. That's not at all confusing for fans of the series. So Sony's making a fully fledged sort of AAA version of Monster Hunter, big open world type thing. Looks cool. Doesn't really look like my sort of thing, but it looks well made and everything like that. Either of you guys pick this up at all or intrigued by this?
Yeah, I'll pick it up. It looks like fun.
Yeah.
Since trading in my Game Boy for the Switch, I haven't had access to anything Monster Hunter related. So, yeah, it looks good. And thing like that grappling hook. There was a sweet grappling hook in there, which looks like good fun. Yep. Which will be interesting combined with the whole sort of like, that fully sort of climbable idea that they had in the Monster Hunter 4.
What's this? Can you elaborate on that?
We can basically climb anything. And so you can climb up.
Oh, okay, like Zelda.
Yeah, it's similar. You can climb up above monsters and kind of fall down on top of them and surprise them and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be good fun, and more big boss battles. Bring it on. Yeah. Actually, speaking.
Nice. Some of those boss battles can go on for up to sort of half an hour, right? I've heard these Monster Hunter ones can be pretty rough.
Yeah, quite extensive. Yeah.
What were you going to say there, Regan?
No, I was actually going to try it, because I mentioned extensive battles. I was going to try and do a clever segue into the next game, but yeah. I mean, I could still do it.
Do it.
So,
do it, mate.
Extensive battles. Speaking of extensive battles, Shadow of the Colossus remake coming up for Sony.
Nice, very good. Shadow of the Colossus remake, which was pretty much the only surprise apart from Monster Hunter World, which I was like, oh well, I guess that's a thing. Like, I wasn't particularly taken by that, but it looks fine. Shadow of the Colossus remake, man, yes, I've been waiting for this. I knew I knew it would pay off eventually. I own this on PS2, but I can't be bothered plugging my PS2 in because the cord feels about 2 feet long. It probably is 2 feet long. Need to sit right beside my, in front of my big ass TV to play it, and it'll ruin my eyes. So I'm so glad this is getting the treatment it deserves. I can finally play this game.
I'm wondering if it's going to be a 1-for-1, and obviously be a remake. So
it's already not.
It's already not.
Just from what they've shown, it's already a substandard remake of one of the greatest games of all time.
So much pessimism.
The original game, part of its charm was they knew that they couldn't, render the most graphically incredible thing in the world ever because it was on a PS2, and it was a sort of, 3/4 of the way through the PS2's lifespan. So the limitations of the technology had been acknowledged by that point, and games were already having to get clever with kind of how they made themselves push the limits of how they could look graphically. And one of the things that the original Shadow of the Colossus did was it had this really cool, really enchanting, sort of mystifying mist filter over everything. So the whole world was covered in a mist, and it made it all look kind of foreign and unique and a bit scary but exciting to explore, and everything was kind of slightly out of focus and you couldn't tell how far away things was, and it sort of made things look even bigger. That was gone in the trailer for the PS4 remake. It's almost like they think we don't need that now because we can render it as good as we want, and they didn't acknowledge that actually the best part of Shadow of the Colossus was the atmosphere, and that mist contributed a massive amount to the atmosphere. So I'm really hoping that was just something in the trailer, and they're going to go back on that decision to not have the mist for the full remake.
I don't know.
Because actually, that is, if they remove that, that is crippling to that game. That is incredibly detrimental.
Do you think so?
Because that will harm the atmosphere of the game so much. Yeah, like a huge amount. That entire game for me is the atmosphere. That game is 5% incredible boss battles, 95% the greatest atmosphere ever created in a game to date. And without that mist, a lot of that atmosphere is gone.
Really attached to that mist. I definitely see your point. I can see your point, and there is that sort of, for want of a better word, mysticism involved with it. I think it's, to me, it was still the boss battles, man. It's like, as long as they have those boss battles there and the kind of the stages to it and the climbing of the bosses and things like that, amazing. I don't think it'll be a game breaker if they don't have that misty sheen.
It won't break it. Like, it won't make the game worse, but I do think it will make the atmosphere less, impressive, and that will make the overall experience with the game worse. Like, it won't make the playing of the game any worse. I'm sure they'll keep the battles incredibly faithful, and those boss fights will still be as fun now as they were, all those years ago. But it'll be things for me like the scope and the scale. The bosses don't feel like they were as, just the visuals in the trailer. The bosses didn't look as big and as fancy as they felt. playing them back on PS2 when part of the scale was that they were super misty. And so it was like, oh, are they actually that big? Or is it that they look kind of skyscraper-esque because they're disappearing into the misty clouds kind of thing?
Right.
And just part of that whole thing won't be present anymore.
Yep.
And that's just kind of what feels like it may not be the best remake ever made.
Yeah,
but it should be, because that's one of the best games ever made. So
phenomenal. We can all agree, amazing game. I guess we'll wait and see. I'm pleased that they've done it. I'm pleased that they've done it.
Yeah, I felt like this deserved more of a reaction from the audience.
Oh, right.
Like, there was a couple of people being like, woo, but there wasn't a huge uproar like when Crash got announced or, anything like that. I thought Sony fanboys loved this game.
It might have been because it was only remastered like 2 years ago or whatever.
True.
It might be too soon for another re-release of it.
Yeah.
But again, like, this isn't a remaster; it's a full remake. You can see that that's entirely remodeled. So
yeah. I would imagine that Fumito Ueda's given his blessing. Like, he'll be overseeing this or whatever. He doesn't want that game tarnished. He's only made 3 games or whatever. He doesn't want that sort of tarnished. So he's. I would imagine if the mist is needed, he's going to bring it back.
Yeah, you'd
hope so.
Hope so. Yeah.
But yeah, this was my. I'll just say now, this was my game of Sony's conference, because it was a surprise, and I was like, oh shit! I finally get to play them. I'm glad. I've been holding out for so long, waiting for this to happen, and it's finally happened. So yeah, very, very stoked.
Nice one.
Rattle through a few pretty much non-events. Call of Duty World War II. I can't even remember this trailer. I can't even remember it at all. Does anyone remember?
I never knew this thing existed.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I saw whoever wrote this list wrote it on the list. Never. I don't recall it at all. News to me.
Totally. It was a thing.
I remember it popping up, but I can't remember anything about it. It's just, we've seen D-Day how many times now, and how many movies and how many video games.
And in how many Call of Duty games. It's not even new for that series.
Yeah, they're going back to World War II because people asked for it, and Battlefield 1's, they went back to World War 1 and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just don't care. I'll play it because I play every Call of Duty that ever comes out, and I play through all the campaigns. But yeah, don't give a shit. PlayStation VR went through a bunch of stuff. The Inpatient, a couple of supermassive games, one of which is The Inpatient. The other one was Bravo Team, which looks like the most generic freaking military shooter I've ever seen in my life.
Real forgettable.
Yeah, just, I don't know why they got Supermassive working on this sort of stuff when they made the gem that is Until Dawn. Like, make better shit like that. Let them work on stuff like that. Stop with the VR. Let them work on AAA, normal games. The best thing about the VR sort of sizzle reel was it Final Fantasy.
Was it the best thing? Yeah, I suppose it was.
It was the best thing. It was the most entertaining thing by far. Final Fantasy VR fishing. I don't think anyone could have predicted this.
Yeah,
this is the sort of thing you see written in blood on a padded cell.
Yeah, it looked really low res and
it did, yeah,
and not particularly fun.
No,
yeah,
it looked like one minigame from a better video game that they've stretched out into a full experience.
Yeah, well, people will pay for that. Is the thing that boggles my mind.
Yeah, would they also used exactly the same music that they used for the last Final Fantasy VR showing, which I noticed immediately. Lazy is all I'll say.
Lazy.
Lazy. But yeah, that was pretty hilarious. Final Fantasy Monsters of the Deep, I think it was called. We move into God of War, which, what can you say about God of War? It looks phenomenal. It's coming out next year, unfortunately. I was wrong. I was very wrong. I placed my bets that God of War was going to be coming out before the end of the year. I had too much optimism. I have been crushed back down to reality. Yeah, God of War, what a stunning looking game. Absolutely cannot wait for that. Do you guys have anything more to say on God of War?
No.
Yeah, it's hard.
Looks great.
Yeah, it's hard to add to it.
It's probably going to be March next year.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. I would say around then. Then we move on to Detroit Become Human. No, Become Human.
Become Human. Yep.
Yeah, it's. I'm well pumped for this game. The trailer was a little bit. It wasn't as good as the first one. I would say. I love their first sort of trailer with the dude on the edge of the building and seeing all the different outcomes you can do, and it was really focused. The first trailer was just focused on that one. This one spread itself a little bit too thin. I think it had some gameplay in there.
Yeah, I think it was okay in that, like, it gave us a little more context to, I guess, the themes of the game. Like the first one, we saw that obviously there were going to be, there was a little bit of prejudice against the androids and things like that. But this one kind of really delved into, I guess, the extent of that. Which, I think it looks really cool, and given the situation we're in the real world with kind of developing AI and things, I think it'll come at a cool time. And it looks. Was it one of you that said it's probably the least David Cage game that's come out in a while?
Yeah, well, his weird grasp on human interaction has finally paid off in that he's creating a game about people who are not quite human.
yeah, it's great.
It's brilliant. It's the best. It's the best. If he intentionally did that, genius. You're a genius, David Cage. And I never thought I'd ever say that. But yeah, that looks great. I'm pumped for Detroit to come out. And the final game in Sony's con, what they ended their thing with, was a gameplay demonstration of a game called Balthazar. Do you want to tell us what it was called?
I sure do. It was Spiderman.
I was waiting for that. I was hoping you were going to do that. It was Spiderman. Insomniac Spider-Man, which is coming 2018 as well. No exact date on that one. But this looks awesome. I mean, that's exactly what I expected from Spider-Man game. It looks like Arkham. It looks like a Batman Arkham game.
Yeah, it does.
A little bit.
It's what struck me is how bright and awesome the city looks. It looks, it looks very Spider-Man in that. Like Spider-Man, I think, is quite a hopeful sort of franchise. Like it's So it looks really cool, and gameplay wise, it looks quite fluid in the way he sort of moved through obstacles when he was doing his parkour and things. Looked really cool. And sort of coupled with some sort of quick timey looking things as well.
Not sure about those.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how they're going to kind of mesh together nicely. But I mean, we've seen it work really well in the Batman games, that sort of kind of style. So yeah, I'm still totally sold on it. It looks freaking awesome. Yeah,
very. It'll be a day one buy for me for sure, from what I've seen so far from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But this just looks gorgeous. Spider-Man on PS2 was just such a fun game. Just swinging through Manhattan was so much fun, and to swing through a high-res Manhattan that's it's not going to be 1-for-1 obviously, but it's going to be pretty damn big. From what they've said, they said it's going to be 4 to 6 times bigger than Sunset Overdrive. Now I don't know how big Sunset Overdrive is, but I assume it was quite big. And if this is 4 to 6 times bigger, that's pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man's a hell of a lot of fun. Just swinging around. If they can make the web slinging and the swinging as fun as it was on PS2, from what I remember, I'm well sold on this game. I think it'll be easily getting 9s out of 10 kind of thing. So yeah, real pump for that. So it was a bit of a odd. Again, it kind of killed the pacing. I don't think conferences should end on gameplay, in my opinion, unless it's a couple of minutes kind of thing. Because this was 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes sort of thing. Kind of killed the pacing for Sony because they finished with this, and then Sean Layden said something like, a true exclusive. I don't know if that was some sort of weird jab at Microsoft. And then they showed Spider-Man, and then it just ended. And I was like, wow, is that it? And then everyone just kind of even the crowd was sort of hovering around their seats. They were like, do we leave or what?
Yep.
But yeah, that was Sony anyway. Regan, what did you give Sony?
I gave Sony an achieved with distinction. And now that I really think on it, I think maybe I gave it to them because my expectations were so high and I was a little bit let down. I felt like, I just have been a bit underwhelmed by the VR and just the typical COD stuff. Shadow of Colossus came out of nowhere, so that that gave a little bit of hype to it. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt a little like it was a little bit lacking for me. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing that really blew you away, blew the house down like last year kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Because they've been so good in the past, it was kind of, it was a bit meh, you know.
Maybe they've set the bar a bit too high for themselves at this point. Old Sony there. Balthazar, what about you, man?
I've actually changed my grade. I also originally gave them an achieved plus. But I've actually changed it upon thinking more about these other conferences, and I give them an achieved.
Just
I don't get
achieved.
that plus. Because I gave EA an achieved, and they had more that I was excited about than Sony did. So, like, Sony made the exact same mistakes. For the same reasons as I gave EA an achieved, it would be unfair for me to give Sony an achieved plus. They showed far too much sort of that nobody was particularly interested in seeing at E3. They ended on arguably too long gameplay sort of footage. And overall, they didn't have any knockout titles announced that, brought it back or regained anything for them. So it would be unfair. It would be biased for me to score them higher than I scored EA just because they're Sony. They just get an achieved from me.
Okay. I gave Sony a merit. So not Microsoft, just for context, I gave Microsoft a merit plus, but I would have given them that stupid little merit plus. But yeah, Sony gets a merit from me. A lot of stuff I'm really pumped for. Almost all of which I already knew about. But still, just great to see more stuff of it. Definitely know it's still happening. Shadow of the Colossus pretty much sold this conference for me. Like that made the conference for me. I was over the moon. So that's mostly where most of my marks have come from for this conference. God of War, obviously, Detroit was cool. God of War, Spider-Man, all brought it home. But yeah, it wasn't a wowzer, but it was a pretty decent showing. But it felt like half a conference to me. So for that reason, yeah, lower than Microsoft, just a merit for me, for Sony. So we'll move into the final conference of E3, which is old mate Nintendo. So Nintendo, I've got to admire the way they run things now. They gave us a 24-minute presentation via Nintendo Direct. No faffing about, nothing was going to go wrong because it was pre-recorded. And it was pretty much great. Most of it was pretty damn bloody awesome. Overall, initial impressions about Nintendo, guys?
Yeah, essentially, good. Yeah, good. Essentially what you just summarized. Quick, to the point, no faffing about, just kind of get the reel on the way. And, they have never been big on, I don't want to use the word conference because that's not at all what it was. People wanted, what I wanted from Nintendo was to know that there were some really solid games on the way to play on Switch. Some more things to play on Switch. They've come along and given us that, which, done. Great. Good job, Nintendo,
Nice. So we started off with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which Balthazar, that was you're over the moon about. That's your most anticipated game of this year, right?
Well, it's not my most anticipated. It's my predicted game of the year.
Okay.
But it's not my most anticipated because it's
StarCraft.
It's it's because it's kind of just like I know what it's going to be.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for playing it, knowing full well what it's going to be. Whereas my most anticipated are more things like, I'm super pumped to play them to actually find out if they're going to stack up, kind of thing. So it was, Shadow of War because I had such high expectations after how good Shadow of Mordor was, with no expectations going into it. And StarCraft because there's still that question: is it a true faithful remake or are they tweaking it? Whereas Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I loved the first two. I know what this is going to be. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I don't know the stories. I don't know the cast, but I know what this game is. So it's not my most anticipated, but it's probably going to end up being my game of the year if it holds up to the other two.
Nice. So the was it a trailer or a gameplay demonstration they showed off for this?
There was both. I think they showed the trailer first at this point, maybe, and the gameplay later on. Yeah.
Nice. From Xenoblade, they moved into Kirby.
Big old segue into Kirby. Yeah.
Oh, loved it. I love Kirby. I remember playing the Kirby game on the Visual Boy Advance back in the day. Visual Boy Advance, grey area. And yeah, I just love Kirby. I think he's an awesome character, and I love his powers, and he can take on the properties of things. And this is awesome. This is a game I definitely pick up once I get a Switch, which I definitely will in October, which we'll get to at the end of this discussion. Then we moved into the dude from the Pokemon Company, sorry. Talking about what Pokemon Tournament Deluxe or whatever coming to the Switch. Talking about Sun and Moon XL, is that what it's called?
Something I think wasn't it called like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon?
Oh yes, that's right. They chucked in some random adjective at the start of it, which if it was only those two things, it would have been just garbage, and I would have maybe even marked them down a little bit for it. But then he said, and we've also got a core. This is the language they used. A core Pokemon RPG in the works for Switch, which is awesome.
Yeah,
and obviously that's just what everyone wants.
Yeah. I kind of hope they take the opportunity to sort of like think about ways that they can kind of expand it a little bit more.
Definitely, man. Yeah. Innovation is something Pokemon needs.
Yep, big time. It can't just be more of the same. So hopefully they take that on board. But yeah, super exciting. Yeah. That's really exciting. That's great. That will sell a lot of consoles, I would imagine, when that pops.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's how you do just some developer at his desk talking. That at least he has something exciting to announce. Unlike, you guys remember the Mass Effect Andromeda sort of reveal, and it was just a bunch of off-screen gameplay and people working in Maya and things like that, and just like the most boring crowd. I want to see that. Like it's just rubbish. But yeah, from that we moved into a black screen, which slowly revealed a blue logo. When was the signifier that this was Metroid, Balthazar? Was there music?
By like the second note in the music, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh man. All right. Yeah. See, I've played one of the side-scrolling Metroids back in the day, but I haven't ever had a GameCube or anything like that, so I've never been able to play any of them. Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is a thing. Also had the little message in development, which is pretty cool. I think a lot of people are over the moon about that. Metroid Prime is a very well-renowned series, right? I think the one on the GameCube is probably one of the best titles on that system.
Yeah, 1 and 2 I think were on the GameCube, maybe. Yeah,
and I think they had a trilogy pack on the Wii or something like that.
I think the third one was on the original Wii, and then I'm not sure if trilogy pack was there as well. But recently, all three as a trilogy were added to the Nintendo shop on the Wii U.
Oh, nice one. The Virtual Console.
Yeah.
Well, wicked. I'm gonna have to pick that up when I or when there's hopefully more news about Virtual Console.
Switch as well.
Yeah. I really wish they'd gone into some Virtual Console stuff during this direct, but they didn't, unfortunately. After that, we had a new Yoshi game, which looks awesome. I mean, it's Yoshi. It's in the Mario universe. It's colorful. It looks really, it's got a weird art style. I'm all for that. I have written down here that it's a wall game, but I don't think it was a wall game, was it? It was just a different paper kind of art style.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I couldn't really tell, to be honest.
Can't actually remember. Then we had, blanking on his name, the Zelda guy come out and talk about the DLC for Breath of the Wild. He also talked about Skyrim integration. Oh man!
When will it end? When will it end?
It's funny that Skyrim's just because of this E3, Skyrim is now a joke. It is a joke.
Yeah, it's been pushed too hard. It's surely that cash cow has been milked for all it's worth. Like
you think so? 6 years later, eh?
Let me say it again. That game is 6 years old.
Those are some shriveled up udders on that thing by now, eh? Far out. Yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild DLC, some story DLC in there, some hilarious costumes, including the Tingle costume, which just looks great. I can't wait to get a Switch and run around like that. Yeah, don't really know much about the story DLC. Is that sort of substantial? Is that what you're after, Balthazar? Is that a good?
I mean, the story one would be the one to get. But, I mean, really, if you're going to get it, it's not much to just get the season pass and grab them both. This first one looks like it'll be some fun. It apparently, if you complete the Master Trial, or whatever it was called, you kind of power up your Master Sword so that it doesn't degrade anymore, and can always shoot lasers out of it. So,
nice. That's always good. Does the Master Sword degrade, does it?
So rather than sort of having the durability where it fully breaks and can't be reused, after it breaks, it actually just runs out of energy and sits in your inventory for, I think it's 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, you can equip it again.
Oh, right. So they pretty much put a cooldown on it, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, they put a lore reason in it and said, look, this is the sword for sealing away the darkness. It's made for fighting Ganon and his servants. You shouldn't just be, using it on any old bug that crawls out from under a rock kind of thing. Like, if you misuse its power, it won't be too happy about that kind of thing. So they put in a lore reason for trying to, have that mechanic continue over.
Nice, very cool. They also announced some amiibos, some champion. Is that what they're called? Champion amiibos or whatever.
Champions.
Or champions. Yeah. So that's all well and good. We then moved into Rocket League, which is coming to Switch, which is what a great game for Switch, eh?
Yeah,
that's just
perfect. Phenomenal game for Switch. Perfect.
Yeah, you can take that to a party, set it up.
You could do if you wanted to, I guess.
you could take it to a rooftop party. Yeah, but that was cool. They had the developers talking about. They said, I think that's where the developers mentioned, it's coming to cross-platform, except they didn't say except PlayStation, but they said, it's coming to, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and we're really looking forward to it. Yeah. That fuck you, Sony. That pisses me off. The thing they ended on, which what a great reveal for this! Just the best start to a trailer I've seen in a long time. A T-Rex, a sort of nearing sort of photorealistic T-Rex, just runs past the camera, and you're like, what the hell is this? This grassy field and this T-Rex just running over it. It turns around, it's got a Mario hat on. Oh, I love it. It was so good. So Super Mario Odyssey is coming the 27th of October, and boy, does that game look good.
Yep. It looks like a good bit of fun, eh?
There is so much creativity in that game. I could not believe it, eh? There's so much going on. It's a sensory overload in the best way possible.
What impresses me is how they've managed to come up with so many different mechanics that are all based around his hat. Like, you can throw the hat as a weapon. You can throw it, and it's a platform. You can use it to possess things. You can, you can get different types of hats that do different things. Like, good job, Nintendo. You've basically you've ticked all the boxes. Yeah.
You guys want to know the name of the hat?
There's
Max.
It's Cappy. I think that just says everything about Super Mario Odyssey. Eh?
Wow,
man,
amazing!
You can possess the weird humans in that game. That's quite troubling to me.
Yeah,
and you give them classic Mario mustaches when you do it.
You do. Oh, I love it. I love the idea. As soon as he possessed there was two things in that trailer that sold me apart from the T-Rex, which was just amazing. When he possessed a Bullet Bill.
Yes.
Amazing. And it has a little hat on. And the Goomba, the stacking of the Goombas. I was like, oh, yes. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, absolutely. Like that was an A++ trailer. That's the highest marks I could possibly give to that trailer if we were doing that. But that was the end of the Nintendo Con. It was swift and mighty, and it came and went in 24 minutes. So what were your guys' grades for that one?
So I gave them... Actually, I'm going to review this now that we've talked about it, and I'm back on the hype train. Initially gave them a merit. I'm going to up it to an excellence, because if I think about it in terms of Sony. Like it was absolutely better than that. Yep, excellence. And I can't wait to just get into, like, think about the diversity of all the games that they've brought to us. We've got massive RPG in Xenoblade. We've got, a ridiculous Mario title, which looks just great on all levels. More of an undoubtedly, like, one of the best games ever made in Breath of the Wild. And a promise of Pokemon. If they can if they can do all of that and do it, like, well, then fucking, yep, amazing.
They also had a trailer for Fire Emblem Warriors.
Oh, yes, they did.
To, bring that in as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I think is Fire Emblem Warriors a sort of grid-based one? Is it a
no? So because it's Warriors, it's going to be like. Originally, I was going to say it would be like Hyrule Warriors, where it was like Dynasty Warriors, but with those characters. But actually, after seeing more footage of it, it looks less like the Hyrule Warriors style of Dynasty Warriors hybrid and more like the Dragon Quest Heroes style of Dynasty Warriors hybrid, where it actually has some pretty deep RPG elements to it as well. Like not just taking those characters and getting them to fight armies, but actually keeping the leveling and equipment and sort of more RPG elements as well.
Yep. Nice. Balthazar, what grade did you give Nintendo?
I give Nintendo a scholarship to any, any institution of their choosing.
Any Ivy League school.
They pass with excellence and number one, top of the class, receive a fully paid scholarship. They had 24 minutes, and in that time showed more than Sony did in an hour and a half. Everything they gave us was new. With the exception of the Breath of the Wild DLC. Like everything was stuff that had only been announced but not actually given us anything for. So they either actually gave us things to confirm things were in the works or they announced all new things. I said to you guys before it started, really, so Nintendo was in the best position for winning E3 purely because they had new hardware out. All they needed to do was announce software for it, and they would pretty much win because everyone was just hyped about their new console, just wanting games for it. And they gave us games in spades. Like, they just delivered and delivered and delivered. So, absolutely, they win E3 for me this year.
Scholarship from Balthazar. I originally gave them a Merit Plus, but after my talking about Mario Odyssey, just realizing how much I loved that trailer, and it was probably my favorite gameplay footage of E3. I gave Nintendo an excellence. So, everything they showed was great. Even the stuff that I'm not particularly interested in, Xenoblade. I know it's a huge level of quality there, and I definitely appreciate it. Obviously, the Pokemon announcement was awesome. Metroid, which I don't know anything about, but I'm more than willing to jump into that world. The Yoshi and stuff, and obviously Rocket League coming to Switch is awesome. But mainly just Mario Odyssey. Like that trailer, just pure joy in that trailer, and also the soundtrack I didn't mention. The soundtrack is amazing because it was some sort of weird original piece of music that was sort of not really narrating, but just going over the concept of Super Mario Odyssey and just sort of saying keywords.
Yeah, written really specifically good. And talking about specific. Yeah, it was great.
It really was. It was fantastic. Nintendo just makes me laugh, and I can't thank them enough for that. So Nintendo gets an excellence. It's just brilliant. So that's the end of E3, and this has been a very, very long episode, and we apologize for that. But it was not as good as previous years, I would say, on a lot of fronts. But there's still a lot of good stuff to see and celebrate, and we thank everyone for tuning in to us. Any parting words, boys? Any closing thoughts on E3, or just closing thoughts in general?
Yeah, well, let's just look forward to the coming year. It's actually looking like it's going to be pretty damn good. So gamers rejoice.
Absolutely. Balthazar?
No, nothing on E3, but I have 336 hours incoming of Stormblood. So, let's get to that.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Prepare for the grind.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in as per usual. We are the Overcast Gamer. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on all the shit, and Twitch. And we will be back when we can, hopefully in another fortnight for another podcast. So until then, stay frosty and catch you then.
Ka
kite anō.